Which team do you have to beat to win the Big Ten? Does the Big Ten run through Columbus? Does it run through Eugene? Does it run through Happy Valley or Ann Arbor? Maybe in a few years it could run through LA even. So we could even do a hypothetical segment here. Let me know in the comment section below where you think the Big Ten runs through right now. I think the only candidates are Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and maybe Michigan, although they probably have the weakest candidacy out of the four I mentioned. And tell me also, hypothetically, in the next 5 years, where you think the Big Ten will run through, or maybe next 4 or next 3. USC, I think, could be on that list. I think that if Riley's able to hold on to Lynn, the staff he's built, and if they're able to recruit and pay players at the level they are right now, they will win a natty in the next decade. Riley is young enough. He has enough of a salary for his coaches, salary pool for his coaches and players to where in the next decade, if not next 5 years, I could see them hoisting up the trophy and even winning a Big Ten championship or multiple Big Ten championships. But let's talk more about the here and now. Tell me in the comments if you have a hypothetical, someone different than Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, or one of them in the next few years, and also who runs it right now. But let's focus on the here and now. Who runs the Big Ten in the here and now? Well, I think Michigan certainly could have an argument here, and that is because ever since 2021, Michigan has 3 Big Ten championships. They have a national championship. They are 4-0 over Ohio State, the current national champion and number 1 team in the Big Ten as of 2024. And their overall record, 12-2, add 13-1 there, it's 25-3. Add 15-0, it's 40-3. They have a 48-5 record since 2021. 48-5. You know who also has a 48-5 record? Not 48-5, but 48-8 that's what it is. Yeah, 48-8. You know who also has that? Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel, or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you, and all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. The Ohio State Buckeyes have a 48-8 record, 14-2, 11-2, that's 25-2. Then you have it's actually 47-8. So 25-4. Then of course you have 36-6, and then 47-8 over the past 4 years. So even with Michigan's 8-5 season looming over them, and that's the most recent thing, so you got to care about that the most, they still have one more win over Ohio State, which is pretty insane in that 4-year stretch, just given how Ohio State's the most consistent program in the history of college football. It's crazy. The Big Ten could run through Michigan even this year if they play their cards right. I like quarterback with Bryce Underwood. The interior trenches are big, especially the defensive line, which I think could be the strongest in America yet again. Love special teams, might love linebacker, depending on how that area pans out. And their schedule, don't need to talk about it much. It's 29th nationally per FPI, and it could be easier than that. The only teams they will play who will be rated top 25 are Oklahoma on the road, Nebraska on the road, USC on the road, and Ohio State at home, at least per the preseason FPI. They can go 12-0. If they go 12-0 and beat Ohio State, and Ohio State doesn't win at all and loses a game or two, Michigan probably yet again overtakes them as a better program in the Big Ten. Like the margins right now for error as being one of the better programs in the Big Ten are that thin. Anyone can jump ahead of almost anyone at the top. Anyone can fall behind anyone at the top. If Michigan, though, goes 6-6, 7-5, then the fact they're even in this conversation right now looks stupid. And as I mentioned earlier, I think they have the weakest argument out of all of these teams because of their current talent level, their current placement, the fact that they have the worst coaching staff out of themselves, Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. So they do have a weaker conversation, but also this decade they've won the most Big Ten championships. They're tied with Ohio State for national championships, and right now they have the most wins and best winning percentage since 2021, and I think the second best since 2020. Obviously, the COVID year helps Ohio State out. Does not help Michigan with that awful COVID team. So Michigan is in consideration. The Big Ten could run through Ann Arbor this year. Is it likely? No. Is it likely it runs through Ann Arbor right now? No. But then again, they've won the Big Ten as soon as 2 years ago. In Ohio State, it's been 5 years since they've won the Big Ten. It's been 5 years since they've even made it to Indy. Ohio State, speaking of the Buckeyes here, they're the reigning national champions. They, in my estimation, are the number one program at a national level. Not only looking at the Big Ten in only a Big Ten lens as to caring about like who wins the conference or who controls the regular season. And as the playoffs have expanded, the playoffs take up more oxygen in the room, obviously. Ohio State, honestly, I would probably peg them as the favorite here just because the winner of the game has won the Big Ten or been the representative of the playoff over the past several seasons, or at least the leading representative. And last year, Ohio State lost it, still won the title. They haven't won the Big Ten, but if they just beat Michigan that one game and nothing else changed, they could have 4 straight Big Ten championships. So I think they have the strongest argument. But what does hold them back is the fact they have not won it since 2020. And even though the odds say they should win it this year, I would not be confident in that, looking at the schedule that they have. They were a 10-2 team last year that could have went 11-1 or 12-0 if some plays bounced their way. They also could have went 9-3 or 8-4 had plays bounced the other way. And Penn State should get better. Texas is not going to have as tough of a time reloading as Ohio State due to how they recruit and the better experience at quarterback and staff continuity. Michigan should be better than they were last year, and it's on the road. And the back-to-back road stretch against Illinois and Wisconsin and then an earlier road game at Washington are not easy. Like, this team could lose 2 games in conference yet again, and they could lose 3 overall. So it's not like a lock that they're going to go back to Indy for the first time since 2020 and finally win the Big Ten. In fact, I would say it's more likely Penn State or even Oregon wins the Big Ten. However, they're more likely to win it than Michigan. Michigan's really been the only thing standing in their way from winning the Big Ten for the past 4 seasons, and they just won the national championship. And they're going to field a good team again this year. They have a much higher floor than Michigan and a much higher ceiling than Michigan as well. And I also think they have a higher floor than Oregon does. So this team under Ryan Day struggled to win the Big Ten, struggled to beat Michigan, but they've done an elite job at basically everything else. And I can't blame them for losing to some of those Michigan teams and not winning the Big Ten, because Urban Meyer never had to play a Michigan team the caliber of 2022 or 2023. And he never had to play in a game where Michigan matched up with him extremely well and had home field advantage at the same time as the 2021 Michigan team did. So I think Ohio State right now is the best case to say that the Big Ten runs through them. Let's move on, though, and talk about Oregon. Oregon, if you want to include forward thinking, I think is the best argument, because they just won the Big Ten this year. I think that they have the second best odds of getting back to Indy, only behind Penn State for this upcoming year, and they're recruiting the best in the Big Ten right now. They're not quite bringing in the bodies that a Penn State or Ohio State are, or even Michigan in recruiting, but their average quality per recruit is much better, and I know they can pay to retain guys that not all those programs can. Most of them can, and they will, but Oregon can pay to retain guys, and right now they have the highest quality class by a mile. They also had that entering 2025, and they had a pretty damn good and big class entering 2024 as well. I love this roster. I think they're very similar to Ohio State. The difference is instead of playing Texas, Penn State, and Michigan, 2 at home and then Michigan on the road, they play Penn State on the road. Going to be much harder for Oregon to win that game than for Ohio State to beat Penn State at home. But then their next toughest game is what? Indiana at home, USC at home, Washington on the road. None of those teams are Texas, and there's a good chance none of them are Michigan either. Especially like factoring in Michigan being on the road late in November and it could be a blizzard. Just saying, Oregon, their level of recruitment, the development, the fact they beat Ohio State last year with a far inferior roster in the regular season and outcoached them, and the fact that they won the Big Ten, They had the best winning percentage of any team in the Big Ten last year and nationally, and they're out recruiting everyone right now. I mean, the only teams that are out recruiting Oregon are USC and Georgia in terms of sheer size of class while having good quality, and you can maybe say the same with Texas in that regard too. Bless me. Oregon on a pure quality basis is running laps around everyone. It's crazy. Good O-line class, good D-line class. They're big. They're well-developed. They're not losing key players to the portal. They're recruiting freak athletes. I love everything about Oregon moving into the future. But again, we're not talking about projections here. That's for something for you to talk about. Hypotheticals and projections in the comments. I would probably have Oregon as the team in the future where the Big Ten will run through. But as of right now, I think it's a better argument for them to have the Big Ten run through Autzen than for Michigan to have it run through Ann Arbor. It's not quite the same argument, though, as the Big Ten running through Ohio State, especially after that Rose Bowl game. Here's another team, though. If you... So, Day has never lost to Franklin. Ever. And I don't think Franklin will ever be as good of a coach that Day is, game management-wise. I don't. I mean, 19... 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. Franklin is 0-6 versus Day. 0-6. He is 0-8 against Ohio State since the win in 2016. And he's 1-10 overall. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And yet, there is a world where it's all spurned by the fact that Michigan loses to Ohio State. Therefore, Penn State gets to go to Indy. Penn State loses to Indy in a game that, in hindsight, isn't of much consequence because they still get a home game in the playoffs. But it still spurns motivation. Like, hey, we want this. It gives them more of a taste of what it could mean to be an elite program. That they got in and they went to Indy to play against Oregon over Ohio State. They got a shot at redemption, taste of victory, and then it got snapped away. Then you had the same thing against Notre Dame. Same exact thing. Same exact thing. And then they bring everyone back. They get Jim Knowles from Ohio State. And the beauty of it, if you're a Penn State fan, is that Ohio State's not getting better than Jim Knowles. They're just not. Like, there's no universe where Patricia or anyone they hire for the next 5 years is probably better than Knowles. Almost no universe. To be fair, it's the same for anyone unless they hired Kirby Smart to be their defensive coordinator. Not that Knowles is invincible or infallible, but it's a fact. Like, Penn State poached him. They won that battle of whether they or Ohio State have the better defensive coordinator after that whole thing went through. They won it. It was their only really win over Ohio State off-field or on-field since 2016. They bring everyone back. They're paying guys to come back. They retained Kolnicki entering year 2. I think Ohio State has a far stronger argument than them that the Big Ten runs through Columbus than it does through Happy Valley. I think even currently Oregon has a stronger argument for that. However, you look at Penn State's schedule this year, and if they do what I think they will, which is win it all, and if they win it all in a dominant fashion, so maybe they field the team better than the prior 2 Big Ten national champions or even better than the 2 prior Georgia champions. If they do that, then who's to say that they don't run the Big Ten for at least a year? Like, who's to say that? I think they're not going any worse than 10-2. They could go 12-0. I think they're the most likely team besides Clemson to go 12-0, and they're one of the only teams that could do that. And I lean positive with them everywhere. I think they have the nation's best assistant staff. Coordinators and assistant staff, it's the best staff. If you want to weigh head coach more heavily than the others, and you should, then it might still be one because the staff's that good, but at the very worst, it's only behind Texas and maybe Georgia. So, look, this is the year for Penn State to step up, to win the Big Ten and win the title. This is the year, and they can do it, and I believe they will. It's not that it's a lock. It's not that there's evidence to say, oh, here's why they will win it, but no one else will. No, but they should be the favorites here. They have the best coordinator duo in college football, one of the best and the best assistant coaching pools, up there again with Texas and Georgia, and they don't have a ton of blue chip talent. They're not the deepest overall like roster at every position, like Georgia was in 2021 for the most part, outside of maybe wide receiver and QB, or like Alabama and LSU were in 20 and 19, or Ohio State even was in 19. They're probably not that good. But can they be better than the prior two Big Ten title winners? Yeah. Can they be better than 2022 Georgia? Yeah. Maybe even 2021 Georgia. Although that, at that point, is where I think you're beginning to get into some gray as to what Penn State's capable ceiling is. They have the weaker argument than any of these teams except for Michigan, that they can say the Big Ten runs through Happy Valley. I don't think they can say that. In fact, they may even have they have a weaker argument than Michigan, because Michigan's at least won it 2 years ago, and they won a title, and they won the Big Ten 3 times. Penn State has not won the Big Ten since 2016, and last year's schedule was pretty advantageous and easy. Like that, it was easy for me to pick them to go 11-1 in the preseason in 2024 because the schedule was their easiest in a while. They have the weakest argument to say the Big Ten runs through them, but I think they could be one of those teams, like I mentioned, where the margin is so thin that they could go from having the fourth best argument to having the best argument just after one season. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, joined the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free, and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.